Good evening, wrestling fans. We're your hosts, Lewis
and Jaden, and this is
Evolution of Pro Wrestling. Welcome back to another exciting edition of Evolution of Pro Wrestling. Before we get into our topic today, first off, we want to talk about a few things that happen in professional wrestling. First off, the NXT takeover.
That was insane.
Wow, they're making a name for themselves in SmackDown and Raw heading into Survivor Series. First time ever. Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT.
Insane. If you haven't seen that, the new SmackDown and Raw, definitely go watch those because those two events were absolutely great.
No, absolutely.
For just regular events and stuff like that. It's insane what these guys are doing now, especially since Triple H is the owner of NXT, which is probably the reason why it is so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's the good part about it. That when you're seeing stuff like that, you're seeing brand new talent coming into the show. You're seeing them rise into the show, especially the women's division, the match that they have. Shayna Baszler, the man, Becky Lynch and Bayley. Oh my God.
These people are all doing it.
No, they're going on. They're going at it with them, and it's just gonna get more and more.
I see why they have
each
competition,
time.
So they gotta get good. They gotta catch up. They gotta get their views up.
Absolutely.
To make sure that the WWE stays in the business.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. That when we get to that type of atmosphere of the Survivor Series, it's just a matter of time before we see an all-out war between three brands.
Absolutely.
Also, the ratings were actually pretty strong in NXT this week that they came close to beating AEW, which was shocking. I'm like, okay,
I mean, NXT would even come close to beating AEW, so that I give a thumbs up for NXT on that. They absolutely deserve that. NXT has been doing it. They have been pushing, been doing well. Triple H is the manager, the owner. So I see why the show is so interesting, since Triple H comes from a whole bunch of experience.
No, absolutely. Well, Jaden, tell the fans what our topic is today.
Today's topic, African American wrestling. This is not just WWE. This is not just wrestling we know. This is wrestling all around. We're going to be talking about, African American wrestlers, what impact they made in wrestling, how good they were. We're going to be talking about all of that. And I love this topic because lately, these days, you never get to hear about American wrestlers as much as you used to. People are always doubting American people. No, sometimes they can't do stuff that other races can do. That's not true. Anything is possible for any person, and no matter if you're blue, no matter what color you are.
Well, not to cut you off, Brian just mentioned, I don't know, but AEW has been doing their thing as well, which you're absolutely right. They actually have, Brian. AEW has been setting their mark in professional wrestling, and I'm anxious to see what's going to happen as it comes down to it further down the line when the chips are down, if WWE is going to rise to the occasion. You know what I mean? So that's going to be something interesting to look at when it comes to the ratings factor.
I agree.
Now, Jaden mentioned about African American superstars. Now, a lot of people fail to understand. No disrespect to Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston was a great champion, great WWE champion, but he was not the first world heavyweight champion, African American world heavyweight champion.
You're right. He wasn't the first African American champion, but I think they should have given him that title a little longer.
No, absolutely.
Minimum. They should have gave him at least a month or a little longer, like all the other superstars. They gave AJ Styles probably 316 days, or probably a little bit more than that, or probably a lot more than that. They should have did the same thing with Kofi Kingston. They only had the man have the title for a month and a half, or probably a little shorter, or probably for a full month, and then they took the title right away from him. So I think that was wrong, but He's not. He wasn't the first African American world heavyweight title, but
No, but
he
that's
was
no,
a
but
good one,
no, but
though.
that's what I'm
He
saying.
was a good one.
That he was a good champion, but the way they had Brock Lesnar beat him was stupid. It was really
that was
stupid.
dumb.
I didn't enjoy it.
I didn't either.
It was just nonsense. It was
Absolutely.
nonsense that should not have been done,
No.
and it just made no sense
If
to
you're
me.
gonna take a title away from a man like that, a man like Kofi, do it the right way. Do it with someone who hasn't got a title opportunity. Do it for someone who has been sweating their tears, doing anything, blood and sweat, anything to try to deserve a title match. Give it to one of those people.
No, absolutely, and
Instead, they gave it to a screwed up wrestler who's all about Suplex City and sucks now. If you want me to be straight.
well, Alvin Cloud just mentioned that the number one African American wrestler right now is
exactly.
Kofi Kingston in the WWE. Absolutely. But there's many other superstars back then that people didn't know were actual champions. One in particular, the first person that I saw as a WWE champion, which many people don't know about, and this was before your time and mine, Bobo Brazil. Bobo Brazil back then was in the 70s, the 60s and the 70s. The man was a world champion. Another world champion that a lot of people fail to understand, that he is a Hall of Famer right now. Yep, see, he just mentioned it. Ron Simmons. Ron Simmons was the first ever world heavyweight champion in the 80s era. The man beat Big Van Vader to win it. And yes, Brian, you're absolutely right. It was insulting the way they did it for Kofi Kingston. He bust his ass for 11 years and then in losing in minutes. Of course, it was wrong. It was absolutely wrong. The Rock's father, Soul Man Rocky Johnson, excellent African American superstar, WWE Hall of Famer. The man did the shuffle in the ring each time. The man was phenomenal in the ring, which we're trying to get Mr. Rocky Johnson on the show, trying to do some negotiations, but it's getting a little hard out there.
See, this is what I like about African American wrestlers. Most of them you see now, they don't. I wouldn't say that they're not serious in the ring, but those guys know how to get down. They know how to have fun in the ring. Like, okay, take this wrestler for example. Booker T.
Oh, absolutely.
Booker T,
Absolutely. Booker T, man.
He used to get in the ring.
The five-time champion. With the spinneroonie, I used to love it. I used to love it.
The kick, all of it. Booker T was an amazing wrestler.
Now, we're going to get into it. Do you think Booker T is better than Kofi Kingston, though?
Oh, God.
We're going to get right into it.
All right.
Wow. You can't hesitate, son. It's a yes or no. If Booker T is better than Kofi Kingston,
I can't decide that.
I think he is. If you guys disagree with me, you can tell me right now. You can make your comments. If Booker T is a better wrestler than Kofi Kingston, or Kofi's better than Booker T.
Well, Booker T, I understand that he's not really wrestling anymore. So Kofi King, you know what? No. Okay, this is my decision. Kofi Kingston is the hottest African American wrestler right now. So yeah, exactly, 2 different levels. What I'm saying,
Okay. It is 2 different levels. Brian, I gotta disagree with you with that, Brian. It's 2 different eras, okay. But what if Booker T was in that era, in the era of Kofi Kingston? If Booker T was in this era now of Kofi Kingston, who would have been the better wrestler? With Booker T being the same exact athlete he was back then in WCW and WWE.
So what you're saying is, if he was at his prime right now,
yes,
he would be better than Kofi.
Absolutely.
He would not be better than Kofi.
Of course he'd be better than Kofi,
yes,
even if he was at his prime.
Yeah, if he was, yes, I agree. If he was in his prime, even out of his prime, Booker is more grounding.
He's more grounding.
That's what I'm saying. You can't. With these two, you can't really compare because they're 2 different men, 2 different styles.
See, even Chris Maldonado said it. Booker T all day, bruh. Come on. You can't come. Okay, you're absolutely right, Brian. Kofi Kingston is a high flyer. You're absolutely right. And Booker T is more of a grounding person. But still, that doesn't necessarily mean they can't go at it with each other. There's been guys that have been high flyers and grounding people that will still put on a good match. You know what I mean? One in particular that I remember I used to love watching, and Brian, you know this person who he is, the Junkyard Dog. Hall of Famer, best of all time, in my opinion, one of the best African Americans out there. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed his wrestling, the way he was. It was a tragic way, the way he went. But thanks, Chris. Much love to you too, brother. Junkyard Dog was an excellent fighter. And Brian, I know you can agree with me on that. All the matches he's had with Hulk Hogan, Harley Race, the late Harley Race, who else? Paul Orndorff, Roddy Piper, all these people, man. And in my opinion, that was one of the greatest African American superstars there is. So
look, that you're talking about all these superstars, but we cannot forget The Rock.
No, absolutely not.
Johnson, The Rock,
the most electrifying man,
the people's champ. We cannot forget about The Rock. The Rock, I grew up watching The Rock. I am 13 years old, and when I first started watching wrestling, I noticed The Rock. I noticed how good The Rock was. The Rock, as a villain at his prime was amazing. The Rock is still good, even though he really doesn't return to wrestling that much, but when he was actually in the business, The Rock outdid himself. The Rock did the best he could. The Rock is one of the best wrestlers. Even if he wasn't African American, I would still think that The Rock is one of the greatest. But that's why The Rock earns a respectful place on the best African American wrestlers.
Okay, who do you think was a better athlete, though? Him or Mr. USA Tony Atlas? Brian, you know who Tony Atlas is. You all guys know who Tony Atlas is. Mr. USA, Tony Atlas.
See,
Hall of Famer.
I've never really got into Tony Atlas, so I can't decide on that. So my opinion for right now is The Rock.
No,
I've never seen Tony Atlas, so I can't.
That's what I'm saying. I can see Tony Atlas. I know. Listen, Tony Atlas is. No, Booker T all day, 5-time WCW champion. Moses, I agree with you on that, but you can't compare him to a Tony Atlas or Rocky Johnson. He said, let's not forget the underdog himself, R-Truth. Yeah, no, absolutely, R-Truth. He's very highly skilled. If they would have used him correctly, yes, he would have been somewhere. That 24/7 crap. It's fun. It's funny, but
I think they can use him better.
They can use him better. You know what I mean? And Moses, I'm with you. JYD, one of the best of all time. Absolutely right.
But if we think about it,
look at that. Even he said it. Tony Atlas, another legend.
I've never seen Tony Atlas, so I can't decide.
Trust me, I'm going to show you some old videos. Tony Atlas was a powerhouse. He was a former tag team partner of Rocky Johnson. They were the sole former tag team champions that won the tag team titles back then. They were unstoppable as tag team champions. The first ever pair African American team to win the tag team titles, which was amazing back then. When you were an African American to win something of that type of stamina, it was amazing for everybody.
See, now there's this one in particular that I would like to get into. He's basically come from a little small. Today's topic is African American wrestling. Moses Marquez, but anyway. Titus O'Neil, he started from a primetime player, Darren Young, the two tag teams, the little make it move, blah, 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 stuff like that. He started off, that's how he got his respect, that's how he got his name. They broke up and then he took a move, took a step by himself. He's become a phenomenal wrestler. I feel like they can use him a little better.
Back to the scheduled program. Thank you, Brian. The Fiend just attacked DB. I'm not sure who DB is, but welcome back to the schedule, sir.
Yeah, but back to what I was saying. If they use him a little better, he would get a whole bunch of attention.
No, but see, Titus, exactly. Titus O'Neil, they turn that man a heel, they can make him a great superstar.
Absolutely.
And that also includes Apollo Crews.
Yes.
Apollo Crews is a phenomenal athlete from NXT. They used him wrong. You should have brought him up, put him like Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley is excellent right now as a heel. He's huge right now as a heel. You know what I mean? Devon Dudley, the Dudley Boys. Yeah, Devon Dudley is another one, a legend in the tag team, also a Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? When we mentioned Titus O'Neil, it's like, oh, Daniel Bryan. Okay, I got it now. Good. He said, thank you, Jaden. And that being said, first ever African-American. See, Ron Simmons. You see, Ron Simmons was the first ever African-American champion. You know what I mean? And people fail to understand. Ron Simmons went through the same journey that Kofi Kingston won. That's why I still don't agree to this day that the way they made Kofi Kingston not win that keep that title was just stupid. It was stupid. It was uncalled for. You know, give the man more respect. Why? Because it's Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is trash. I'm sorry. The man was good in his prime.
He's trash.
The man was good in his prime.
He's not good
now
anymore.
He's just...
No one likes him anymore.
He's just terrible.
I understand if he sees this show.
He's terrible. He's terrible. No, I don't care
God
if he gets
forbid
upset.
He does,
I mean, who cares?
He
cares?
really sucks. Literally, he sucks.
See, look at that. Even Moses Marquez said it. Cruz should have had a main event feud in NXT before he was forced up. Exactly. The man can do what he do best. The man's a powerhouse. And, you know, him with Titus O'Neil they should have made him here right there. Right there. Titus Worldwide, boom, let's go with it. You know what I mean? But this is what
makes African Americans different. They go on this journey. They don't expect to be the champion right away. Mm-hmm. These guys push and push and push. Fight through all of their opponents, fight through every single person, do everything in their power to make sure that they will have that right push and to make sure that they win the title right on time. There's no early title, there's no late title with them. They have to, in their minds, in their mindset, they have to work hard in order to get a title like that. This is why I enjoy a topic like this. Because these guys don't do this for fun. Well, they do it for fun because, you know, that's their life and they like it, but these guys work hard for this. Like, they actually train blood and sweat.
That I agree with.
Yeah, Brock should have stayed in UFC.
No, Brock should have stayed in UFC, but also what Jamie Salmon said, he should have been a U.S. champion. Apollo Crews should at least been a U.S. champion.
They should have at least gave him the champion.
They should have gave him something, but again, they ruined his career, and that's what made it bad. Now, you also talk about a superstar, which is he's very athletic, very agile, but they used him wrong. Shelton Benjamin.
You took the words right
Shelton Benjamin is an excellent superstar that they just destroyed this man. Like,
we can't forget about all the times he flipped off of the ladders.
Absolutely.
You know, when he used to bring his mom outside, he used to run to the ring, he used to do all of that. Shelton Benjamin was phenomenal, you know, back when he had the golden hair, you know, all them WrestleMania matches, all of the ladder matches. He would put on a show for the folks. He would literally have people standing out of their chair, and it would be absolutely insane. Shelton Benjamin used to take me out of the couch if I was ever watching him on TV because he was a phenomenal wrestler.
Brian, absolutely. I had mentioned that at the beginning of the show. Remember, Bobo Brazil. Bobo Brazil was the first heavyweight champion, African-American heavyweight champion in professional wrestling. A lot of people don't know that, but he was. Before Ron Simmons, before Kofi Kingston. Yes, I'm not taking anything away from Ron Simmons or Kofi Kingston, but Bobo Brazil was a phenomenal superstar and legend. And yes, he is a Hall of Famer. He's a WWE Hall of Famer. And he even said it, Shelton Benjamin hasn't been a part of stuff like that.
Since he was good with the tag, since he's been with the tag team, he hasn't been good. Moses is telling the truth. Shelton Benjamin, I feel like Shelton Benjamin, if he was solo and they kept his old gimmick, then I would understand where we're coming from. But he's not as good anymore. Like, they're just messing him up. They messed him up.
Well, he's at that point in his career.
I mean,
you know,
I understand that, but like they didn't do that for the Undertaker. I mean, sure they messed up his streak and all, but they didn't mess up his character.
Okay, but that's
the same thing for Shane.
But that's the thing, Jaden. You can't compare Shelton Benjamin to the Undertaker. That's a no-brainer. I'm sorry. You try to compare Shelton Benjamin to the Undertaker.
No one's comparing.
No,
I'm just telling
no. You can't tell me.
You don't understand. Comparison and saying something are two different things.
Son,
two different things.
You can't do it. You can't do it. And one in particular, okay, there's one in particular that you can also mention, and Brian knows who this is. This is before your time. Koko Beware, former superstar, WWE Hall of Famer.
Never heard of him.
I know you haven't heard of him because, like I said, he's before your time. But Brian knows who the hell I'm talking about. Brian knows who Coco Beware is. I enjoy Coco Beware. I don't think he should have been in the Hall of Fame, but yes, his contribute for African American superstars was phenomenal. So yes, okay, give him the Hall of Fame accolade, and excuse me, and it's like what he just mentioned, a groundbreaking. If it wasn't, would be Kofi Kingston is the Pedro Morales of African Americans. Absolutely right.
No.
See, Brian is laughing because he knows Coco Beware. Coco Beware, he's a major super. He was a back then superstar. But what people, go ahead, say what you got to say.
Dad, we're talking about all these men here. We can't forget about the women either.
Absolutely not.
Let's talk
Absolutely
about
not.
Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks
Absolutely
is probably
not.
one of the hottest female wrestlers inside
She
the
is
WWE
phenomenal.
right now.
She is phenomenal.
Especially with her new heel character.
Absolutely. I love the heel character.
I'm loving the heel character
Heel
right
character.
now. I'm loving the new Sasha Banks right now. You know, she goes for her bank statement. Once that bank statement's in, there's no way of getting out. It's like a chain is strapped to your neck and there's no way of pulling it off. That's how her bank statement is. Once that bank statement is wrapped on you, there's no way of getting that out. And especially since she has this new attitude now, she's coming in fierce. She's coming in strong. She's coming in like a new person, like a new Sasha Banks. And that's exactly what she is. A new person, a new heel. She's starting off fresh, but she's starting off fresh in a bad way. I wouldn't say in a bad way like it's bad, because she's starting off good. She's just starting off as a heel, which I absolutely enjoy. Because I've been waiting for them to actually turn this woman into a heel. So I'm just
that's what I'm saying. She,
loving it right
as
now.
an African American female, she's awesome. And look at that. He mentioned Jacqueline from the Attitude Era. She was also an African American superstar that actually people fail to understand is also a WWE Hall of Famer and made a mark in the Attitude Era. And Kevin, you are absolutely right. Taz is an African American, and he supposedly they say he's Italian. I'm not sure if he is.
Wait.
He might be, But Bad News Brown, oh man, Bad News Brown was another one. Chris Maldonado. I enjoyed watching him wrestle. I enjoyed watching all that stuff.
There's this one that we normally don't talk about. She's in AEW right now, but Karma.
Awesome
Karma.
Awesome Kong.
That's her name right now.
She made an impact. She made a small
WWE,
impact in the WWE when she was there.
Yes.
She kicked some ass when she was in there.
Oh yeah.
So
she was crazy.
It was
Once
like
that theme song. You seen her big self come out. Once everybody seen her, they frightened for their eyes. She was one of the women that was in the men's Royal Rumble.
They moved out the way. They moved out the way.
They moved. They made sure they were in the clear.
I'm gonna name one right now that I know you guys would like. The Godfather.
Oh man.
The Godfather all the way. The
Godfather.
Godfather. He was part of the Nation of Domination. The man had the whole
Godfather was an old one. He got the woman, all that. The Godfather was.
Oh, look at this comment. Jazz. Jazz was another African American female back then in WWE. He said she would eat up Sasha Banks.
I'm not sure who Jazz is.
I know who Jazz
As
is.
of right now,
Jazz was a brolic China.
As of right now, wow.
She was a brolic China. I'll tell you that much.
Wow.
So it's. I gotta agree with him. D'Lo Brown. D'Lo Brown. He mentioned D'Lo Brown. Check him out. D'Lo Brown was part of the Nation too, but he was hilarious. He was hilarious in WWE. I loved his wrestling. Papa Shango. There you go. Papa Shango. That's who the Godfather was. Papa Shango.
That's right.
D'Lo Brown was very funny, Kevin. You're absolutely right. And there was superstars like that made it fun to watch the African American wrestlers do what they love best. They enjoyed it. They enjoyed what they did. And that's what it was. It wasn't about color. It wasn't about championships. It was doing what they do. But believe it or not, African American superstars could do better than other race. When we're not trying to be racist or compare anything, but that's what this topic is about. African American superstars. And there was one in particular two that came from the streets that made it into professional wrestling. Actually, three. My apologies. Stevie Ray and Booker T, Harlem Heat, and Ahmed Johnson. Ahmed Johnson, they all three of them come from the streets, from struggling in the streets, in the hood, and they came and made it miraculously and phenomenally inside the ring. Booker T and Stevie Ray, best tag team of all, one of the best tag teams of all time. Harlem Heat, these guys have won many championships. They were amazing champions.
I still to this day watch them, and I'm only 13 years old, and I was probably back when I was like probably literally a baby. So if I'm into stuff like, if I'm into Harlem Heat, they were an awesome tag team. It takes a lot for me to get interested into those type of stuff, but Harlem Heat was phenomenal.
No, absolutely.
I loved Harlem Heat.
Absolutely. Great tag team partners.
Yes, absolutely.
And we got off the topic from the women. You know, we mentioned Sasha Banks. You also have Naomi. You know, Naomi was also
she is amazing.
that did well. What other female superstar was there? Amber Moon. Amber Moon from NXT. They used her wrong. You would have brought Amber Moon in the right way and used her up like, oh man, like they screwed up with Amber Moon. Amber Moon is one of the best ever that I've ever seen in the women's division. I don't understand what the hell they're doing with her. They need to make this woman a star. Like it's retarded. Like,
okay.
And it's true. It is a funny fact that Shelton Benjamin used to team with Brock Lesnar.
Was he?
Yeah, when they went OVW, when they went Ohio Valley Wrestling, that was their training center for the W. Before there was NXT, there was OVW. And that's where the superstars would come up. Oh, look at that. Perfect tag team right there. Doom. Doom was an awesome African-American tag team. Ron Simmons and Butch Reed. By far one of the best tag teams in professional wrestling. This was before your time, Jaden. So you might not know about this. They were better than half the teams you see now. You know, all these fake tag teams. Tell me somebody you could say is better than them.
See, there's not really any good.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. So, come again. Anyway.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, whatever you want to say.
What do you think about Lito Rush?
Lito Rush.
He was Bobby Lashley's former manager, the little scrawny guy.
Oh, Lito Rush. Yeah, he wasn't bad. You know, he wasn't the best, but he was actually like, you know, he was fun to watch. He was very fun to watch.
Look at that. Even Moses said it. The Doom against the Road Warriors.
Oh, the Road
Excellent tag team match. Excellent tag team match. It was phenomenal. And I know I'm going to name one that Jaden, you don't know about, but I know you heard of him. To me, I still like him to this day, and I don't know why he's not in the Hall of Fame. The Doctor of Style, Slick. Manager of many superstars. The man, it was always funny. He was phenomenal manager, African-American manager. I enjoyed everything he did. It was just hilarious. And Brian knows who I'm talking about. It was cool. He was annoying. Yeah, he sure as hell was annoying. The Dr. Style shit, he was very annoying. But the man he was funny. That's what made it fun when it came to that. Oh, Lito Rush, absolutely. Lito Rush was definitely funny. And look at that. Amber Moon should have been the female Sting in Undertaker. Exactly. I keep saying it. They're using the woman wrong. She could have put her up with the likes of Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte Flair. Like, come on. Like, give these people a chance. Let them do so. Give these females a chance to rise into the occasion.
Okay, now, Dad. I want to get into the indie promotions now.
Okay.
There's this wrestler that I enjoy watching. The Pope.
Oh, Elijah Burke. Elijah Burke, of course.
I enjoy him.
Of course. Watch him, Daddy.
Oh
in
God.
Atomic Revolutionary Wrestling, USA Pro Wrestling.
All the time.
You know, the man's done what? Zeus. I forgot about that one. I didn't really mention him because he was a wrestler for like a short period of time, but Zeus. Yeah, absolutely. Tiny listener from Friday, Zeus. Yep. You're absolutely right, Chris. He was also a wrestler.
With that crazy lady of his, you know,
Sensational Sherry. Yeah. He was a good heel. He cross-eyed dude. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He was a cross-eyed dude, but he kind of made an impact going up against Hulk Hogan.
Yes,
so and it was still pretty phenomenal.
It was an awesome match.
It was still phenomenal. You know, I like the character.
No matter how long he was in WWE or the wrestling business, he still helped Hulk Hogan make a name for himself by going in a type of match.
Well,
like
Jaden, we cannot forget the New Day.
Oh yeah,
Big E and Xavier Woods.
We cannot forget
we can't forget that. Those guys have made it so far from going from nobody being booed at WrestleMania to being host at WrestleMania and the fans wanting more of the New Day. You know what I mean? And one in particular too, Mark Henry.
I was just about
Hall of
to name
Famer,
him.
WWE Hall of Famer, World's Strongest Man.
World's strongest
the man
man.
proved
The man
he can
proved he can pick up anyone. He can pick up the Big Show and name any single person. In this time, if he was still wrestling, he can pick up all these little tiny wrestlers, throw them out the ring like they're a sack of puppies.
Well,
literally.
you're not going to know this guy, but people watching will know this person who I'm talking about. The Valton Dream from NXT. Phenomenal superstar in NXT. The man has won numerous titles in NXT. And I'm looking forward, excuse me, I'm sorry guys, something in my eye. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in the WWE main roster. And you haven't seen him yet. I've seen him wrestle. The man can wrestle. The man can get down. He is a African-American version of Eddie Guerrero, in my opinion. So it's definitely something that you can't relinquish. I'm sorry, Alvin. We're not ignoring you. We have a hosting show. Come on to the actual live show. I saw with your Coco Beware. Come on to the show. So yeah, we definitely got stuff like that.
Now we can't forget this one person. He was more like a guy.
Kamala.
More like a guy who was like a sports type of guy. MVP, come out the ring. He was all about, the jump shot, the fake jump shot, the elbow, all that stuff. MVP was an amazing wrestler.
No, but
especially when he was young.
No, but see, Alvin Clown commented on a whole show that the most let down African American superstar was Shelton Benjamin. We mentioned that on the show. Shelton Benjamin was an unused superstar. The man could have been phenomenal. The man could have been somebody. See, he even said it. The man is awesome and he's only 24. He knew who I was talking about when it came to a situation like that. I want to see more of that man. I want to see what he can do. I want to see him rise up to the occasion. And when you mentioned about indie promotions, the Brothers in Arms, Jason Dugan and JD Amazing, excellent superstars in the indie scene. They go all over Florida. We like to see them wrestle. It's phenomenal to see them wrestle. And it's just amazing. It's amazing to see them wrestle. And it's just phenomenal that they're so
MVP,
young. Ricochet. We cannot have forgotten. We got Ricochet on our list, Brian. Ricochet is, oh man.
Ricochet is amazing. There's no words to describe him.
They killed it when they took that U.S. championship off him so fast. Virgil, and Chris Maldonado, he was okay. He was a
Marquez, MVP, first ever Intercontinental Champion.
Oh, absolutely, right. Absolutely. He was definitely the first Intercontinental.
One of the most amazing wrestlers in African American history. I just enjoy him so much.
Absolutely, and it's like
we gotta get back to Ricochet. There's no words to describe Ricochet. There's a whole bunch of things that I have to say about Ricochet. Ricochet is an amazing athlete. He's an amazing high flyer. Ricochet knows how to literally get you to jump out of your seat. Literally, to get you to jump out of your seat. What is crazy is WWE passed on the Dream where we was on.
He was on Tough Enough. Things happen when you see certain things happening in professional wrestling. They don't realize until this superstar comes into the mix, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're this superstar.
Some people nowadays think that in the WWE that these people are not good enough. These African Americans are too good. They're not gonna impact anyone. But these guys are about business. Their first match, like Ricochet, one of his first matches, he got people.
Jay Lethal.
Out of their seats.
Oh, absolutely. Jay Lethal is another excellent African-American superstar in TNA Impact. I know you probably won't know this, Jaden, but they will. One superstar in particular that He's no longer with us, but he made a huge impact in professional wrestling. The Iceman, King Parsons. You guys know who I'm talking about.
Heard of him? I've just never really got into him.
No, but he's an old school superstar. He's
tell.
very old school. And one funny superstar in WCW, which he's now a coach in the WWE, Norman Smiley. He was hilarious in WWE. Oh man, he was hilarious. I enjoyed his fighting. Parsons, King Parsons was in WCCW. Excellent superstar. The man had talent. He was phenomenal, and the way he went, it was a shame, but, excuse me, he was phenomenal in the ring. Excuse me, I'm sorry. He was awesome. And last but not least, which people say he was from the Sudan, but no. This man is an African-American superstar who made a major impact with battles with Bruiser Brody, Sting, Cactus Jack, Abdullah the Butcher. Abdullah the Butcher. The man was a beast. The man was a hardcore legend.
Listen.
Hall of Fame. The man was crazy.
This man can take
The man was crazy.
This man can
He would
take
have
a-
that fork in his hand and just stab you all over the head
This man
holy
is
cow.
insane. He can take a hit. Abdullah the Butcher is one of the craziest guys I have ever seen to ever wrestle. If you're that crazy, that means you can go up against anything. And especially since he went against Mick Foley. And Mick Foley is one of the wrestlers that have survived so many things. So for Abdullah the Butcher to go against one of the other craziest guys inside of the wrestling industry is absolutely insane. Abdullah the Butcher was crazy, literally.
Flash Funk, Too Cold Scorpio. You're right about that, Chris Maldonado. He was also good. You know, all these superstars you guys are mentioning, they're really good superstars. You know, and we wish we could see them now. We wish we could see them back then the way it was. I wish I could see it now the way it was back then. You know, but things change. You can't, you know, everybody's talking about, oh, you know, you got to go for the right stuff. Ernie Ladd, the big cat, Ernie Ladd. Also, you can't forget about him. He was also a WWE Hall of Famer, you know, the late Ernie Ladd. He used to have numerous battles with Iron Sheik, Andre the Giant. The man was phenomenal too with that thumb, that taped thumb in his hand. It was just amazing. You know, we pretty much named everybody on this list. And it was just amazing the way we used to see people, these African Americans, fight and battle in the ring. You know what I mean? So we're going to give you guys 1 minute. All of you, whoever are watching, please comment your favorite African American superstar of all time. Comment on our comment sheet on the live video, and we're going to tell you if we agree or disagree. And while you do that, me and Jaden are going to debate on who his favorite wrestler and least favorite African-American wrestler was. And I'll say the same. Jaden, go ahead.
I got a few.
Well, we got two.
Okay.
One least, one most.
Okay. So, one of my favorites is MVP. One of my least favorites, I know people are probably going to dislike me for this or whatever, but Papa Shango.
The Godfather?
Not the Godfather. I like the Godfather's gimmick, but Papa Shango's gimmick wasn't
It was suck.
all that. He was trying to be like all the other scary guys. It was not working out. I would rather... Okay, what was so special about Papa Shango?
I'm not saying anything special about Papa Shango. Papa Shango sucked.
Exactly.
The Godfather was good, but what I'm mentioning is MVP. What was so good about MVP?
MVP was amazing. MVP went into the ring. You know, he was different from all the other wrestlers. He wasn't trying to stick into the crowd. He had the name MVP, most valuable player, you know. That's not what it stood for. It stood for his name.
Okay.
But
okay.
He was different. He was just different, and that made it different in a good way. The first Intercontinental title, which is amazing, especially for an African American.
Okay, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And I'm not throwing off the Godfather. I like the Godfather's gimmick, just not Papa Shango gimmick. The Papa Shango gimmick was was bad. But the Godfather gimmick was awesome. I love the Godfather gimmick. Like the Godfather gimmick was better than the Papa Shango gimmick.
Okay.
But
So we got one here. Chris Maldonado said his favorite was The Rock. His least favorite was Virgil. Okay,
never heard of
I agree. I know who Virgil is. He was a bodyguard, part of the NWO, yada yada yada. You're absolutely right. That I gotta agree with. My favorite was Ron Simmons. My favorite of all time, Ron Simmons, African American superstar. My least favorite superstar would actually have to go to Cedric Alexander.
Okay, I kind of see why.
He's a good superstar. Good superstar. I like his athleticism and everything.
They just messed him up.
They just messed him up. I'm sorry.
They just screwed him over.
So it's just terrible. It was terrible the way it happened. But wrestling fans, our time is up. As always, a great discussion, great topic. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate the support. The Boogeyman, well, Boogeyman he wasn't really considered an athlete.
I like this gimmick.
I like this gimmick, but couldn't wrestle for shit in the ring, Moses. I'm sorry. The man couldn't do anything. I'm sorry. He didn't really contribute to the WWE. That's why his name was not on this list today. You know, yeah, he did his thing with that character. It would have been better if he would have been able to wrestle and have the character maybe go up against the guy, the likes of The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, but it never happened. So it's kind of hard to say that. But again, fans, as always, we appreciate you guys watching us. We appreciate the support. We appreciate everything you guys show. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Also, email us with any topics, concerns, or anything you would like to talk about for us to put on the show at evolutionofprowrestling@gmail.com. Or as a matter of fact, you can also message us personally if you want a certain topic in the show. Next week's show, again, we're not giving the topics away anymore, right, Jaden?
Nope, we're stirring up the pot now, so you have to find out. So tune in next Friday.
Absolutely, that's how it's gonna be. So from us here, fans, from myself, Lewis, my co-host Jaden, and always my producer and director, my wife Yesenia. Thank you guys for watching. As always, we'll see you next week, guys.